Come here. Come here. Why do you do that? How do you get your toes like that for? Come here. Come here. Give me your paw. Give me your paw. Okay. You know, in the world of coin collecting, there's there's different types of coins that some people specialize in collecting. And one that I thought about specializing in collecting was the peace dollar. Peace dollar was the actual silver dollar. I think it came after. I don't know if it came after the Morgan. I think it came after the Morgan. Liberty had a more of a slimmer, and my thought, a more slimmer, kind of graceful face with the hair blowing back and the tiara that said Liberty, or it said Peace or whatever, with the eagle on the back. I was thinking, this actually may not be a bad thing to get into collecting. I thought, well, okay, so, maybe I'll start, looking at peace dollars, and I'll start filling up the little, what is it, the Whiteman book, whatever. They used to make these folders that had the cutouts, and people would press the coins into the cutouts, and they would have the year. So I began to, look at the different ones, $12 to $24 typically for one of these things. Then I get up to this one, and it goes for about, it could go from like $1,200 to maybe $1,500 if I remember right. And that was the biggest thing people talked about coin collecting, was you can get all these coins that were a little bit more inexpensive. It was easy to get into collecting and easy to get better grades and stuff. But there was always this one coin that was there that was going to cost literally, a ton of money, a bunch of money for it. And so it was, that's kind of where I gave it up. It's like, why collect if there's just going to be this always void of one in my collection? Who's to say I get this wild hair where I just decide, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start buying these coins and muscle up the money for that one rare coin. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to get together with my friends and create this movement of activism where I just take to the shows and take to the internet and take to the coin shops and go around and act like the rare coin police and start telling people to put price controls on what they want to sell something for. Why? That's not really not my place. The seller has this good. They know that it's a rare commodity. They know that there's nothing being made anymore, no more being made. They know there's a low population of them. There's only so many to go around, and that's the price that they've commanded. In this case, it may actually be considered fair market value because there's no difference on the. That's the price across the board. Now, I'm not going to go get a bunch of friends together and say, "Hey, everybody, go! Let's do something about this. Let's get them to lower the price of this rare coin from $1,200 to like $100 or $60, so I can fill my little fold." And then what? Then what? Stop the campaign, just let the price go back up. Allow the fair market value to restore. I don't know. It's I gotta think that at the end of the day, there is it's up to the seller what they want to sell something for. You know, if I'm sitting on if I'm sitting on a bunch of something and I have a market cornered, I mean, what's the problem with me basically releasing one every so often and keeping the price up rather than dumping everything on the market just because that's what's fair? And some of this sort of happened, remember, with the New Orleans Morgans. The New Orleans Mint Morgans, silver dollars, were a lot of money. And then one day they came along, and I don't know what they were excavating, an old bank or excavating some old site, and they found an actual vault or safe somewhere. And they brought in a safe cracker, cracked the safe, and opened it up. And there was all these New Orleans Mint Morgans that were minted by the Confederacy when the Confederacy actually had the South on lockdown. And so they took these things and sold them and made a big deal about how they can own a New Orleans Mint Morgan. And now New Orleans Mint Morgans are relatively affordable because this population of New Orleans Morgans increased because they found this massive hoard of coins. But things that are out of production, I mean, I don't know. That's a different story. You know, I mean, I remember Belloc, the French archaeologist in Indiana Jones, said something to the effect that, here's this pocket watch. I bought it from a vendor in the streets, and right now it's completely worthless. But I bury it in the desert for a couple thousand years, dig it back up, and it becomes priceless. And I remember when Indiana Jones was down there and he actually found the Ark and they were sealing the tomb up, and he said, maybe perhaps you might be worth something someday, Dr. Jones. You know, that was the joke, you know, but that's kind of how it is. You know, I bought some things that were relatively popular, slow-moving designs at the time on closeout. You know, I wait about 20 years. I mean, it takes 20 years sometimes for these things to turn around. And then I come out with one or two of them, and everyone's like, "Wow," you know, and you want to buy this, or I want to sell. Can I buy this? And some people occasionally come along and they say, "Well, would you be willing to sell it for just a little bit over what you originally paid for it?" And no, because I can keep that price for sale. And eventually, another 20 years from now comes around, it becomes relatively collectible, and someone will come around and they'll pay for what I always wanted for it. And by then, the inflation might actually be fair market value. So I don't know, but I mean, I don't know. When a person sells something for after they've bought it, I think it's more or less their business. Another phenomenon that was like this for a long, long time was Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson had a year-long waiting list on their bikes, and a guy would wait a while, and he would get his bike, enjoy his biker summer. Eventually, you start looking at the bike and getting all these offers from people that wanted to pay considerably over what he paid for the bike when he bought it from the dealership. And sometimes they would ride it for a while, make sure they didn't flop it, kept it in good shape, kept the oil changed, kept the warranty up if they had a powertrain warranty, and they would take it back in and sell it for way over what they had for it. And and the people who wanted a Harley were we were relatively frustrated by that. We wanted to be cool too, but it was just the way it was going. If I wanted to be cool, I had to find some guy that was making custom choppers out of old Kawasaki 1000s or CB 1100s, or go find maybe like an old used Ironhead that was in absolute trouble, and perhaps even wind up rebuilding it. And then eventually Harley came out and began to take away the wait list, and a lot of that changed. And now I see just a lot more bikes on the street. And then back in 2008, I remember I could get a Road King for about $8,000. I mean, just a couple grand over what I paid for my Sportster. No, over $500 over what I paid for my Sportster. So I can, it's the economics of things changes sometimes. And a knife that I bought for maybe $75, I may come around and a year from now and say, I want $500 for this knife, just because there's not that many around, and the few that are around, they're not being sold on the market, or it has some special attribution. Maybe it was an old company that was there, or maybe the new company took over and the markings were different. It was made in some different factory, and that's a desirable trait from collectors. So we don't know. We don't know what it is. So who the heck knows? All I know is that if I want to ask a certain price, and someone comes along and wants a cheaper price, and I don't want to lower my price and I want them to pay what I asked or thereabouts, it's that's my prerogative. It's my property. Stop it. It's my prerogative. That's my right. I can do that if I want. I can do that if I want. And maybe some, group of people with some podcasting equipment and some friends come along, and now all of a sudden I'm banned from a community. Well, what community am I banned from? Am I banned from all the knife shows? Am I banned from just their community? Am I banned from the platforms? All of a sudden I'm going to be blacklisted from the whole platform or all the platforms? What about am I going to go maybe to the South Pacific or some country and I want to go see how a certain knife's made at some local forge, open air forge, and they look at me and start pointing at me and go, there's the guy, and they have a clipboard with, a bunch of pictures on it, and they have like my picture with the rest of the pictures of who's blacklisted from the community. Is that, how far does that go? And for how long? Is this like a lifetime ban? Am I just fully like out in the cold? I gotta find a buyer or selling agent to sell my knives without my face attached to them. And I say this is his shop and this is his stuff, and he just kind of stays over key. And I'm the man behind the production. And I produce everything, and then that's the figurehead that I go through because I can't sell them through my own name and image because nobody's gonna buy them. Does that sound about accurate? I don't know how that's supposed to work. Because if somebody likes something, they're gonna buy it, and then maybe they go to a meetup and they don't want to take it out because then they might be being Dutch. They might have their friends not like it, but on the weekends when they're away from their friends, they carry something I made. So I don't know how that's supposed to work. I don't know. I just think that if a person sells something, home prices. I remember I look at a house and someone wants like $500,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. and I look at a house, and I know at one time that house went for $60,000 at the end of the late 1990s and the early millennium. That one for $60,000. You're not going to tell me it's a $500,000 house. I'm still going to say that's a $60,000 house. But there's a lot of knives I bought for full price, and full price at the time was $115 to $130 for a high-end production knife. There's a lot of knives I bought on closeout. 75, 65, even 35. And just on collectability and lack of availability, I'm willing to try to move some of these things for $300. But what people don't get, okay, is that on my end of the equation, okay, where, like I say, if I'm between jobs or something, I might depend on that money. I might have to actually take that $300 and somebody feels like they're getting fleeced because they bought some knife, which they don't need anyway, more than likely. And maybe they feel like they're getting fleeced because they know what I originally paid for it, but at the same time, I might need that money to get by. I may be out of a job and I need that money to get by. I'm not willing, and it's the other way where, I should just sell this thing and move it out the door. Maybe I'm not willing to sell that thing because I have a few bucks at the bank I'm down to a creep as far as my spending goes, and I got to make that sale. That sale, I'm dependent on that sale until I can get a job. Until I can find somebody that I can ingratiate myself to, get them to like me, then hire me, or get past their HR, get their HR to like me. Maybe I need that sale. And at that point, it's the opposite effect where, I can just move it at half of maybe 150. And it's like, no. I should probably try to shoot for moving it at 900 to 1,000. Because I need that money to put food on the table and maybe pay the utilities and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, that's just what I'm saying. Maybe there's I don't know, and I really don't know if there's too many more cheap collectible collection hobbies that are out there. I don't know. And the point is some people like cheap and deals, and some people like the blue chips. Some people like the good stuff, and some people will pay for the good stuff, and that's a different mindset. Well, I want a blue. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Like one time I went into a shop that sold Hot Wheel cars, and they had this one Hot Wheel car. It was like $450. You know how much Hot Wheel cars go for? They got those packs that go for it's like 6 for $6. I mean, sometimes it's like almost $1, a little over $1 a piece. And they had this one special edition Hot Wheel that's in there for like $450. But you know what? Maybe that I go, well, this is so much money, I want it for less. Well, maybe the guy was selling it on consignment. Maybe I could have contacted the owner. Maybe the owner would have gave it up for less. But I'm kind of saying to myself, well, you know what? Okay, that's maybe the higher end. I need to accept the higher end and be accepting of that. And that's just the way it is. And maybe later when I get a hankering, I come back with more money, and I'll go ahead and I'll buy the higher end piece. Maybe that's what the case is. So I don't know. So anyways, don't worry about the haters. Just let the haters worry about you. See you on the next one.